This is Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z.
Good morning, Coffee with Kenobi. This is Dan Zer. I am on the show floor on Saturday morning for D23. I was able to get in a little early, go right to Lucasfilm, talk with Rob Bredow from ILM. It was the first time we get to chat in person. What an incredibly lovely man. I'm going to play that audio for you right now. You heard that? That's Rob. Rob Bredow. Rob, welcome to Coffee with Kenobi.
This is amazing. Great to be here.
Yeah, so longtime fan of your work. We had a wonderful time chatting. Tell us about this incredible experience that is the Voulme here at D23.
Yeah, this is the first time ever. The actual team at ILM that runs the Stagecraft volume that we're standing in front of right now built one on the show floor here at D23. So this is like 70 feet across. It's, I don't even know how tall. It's got to be 25, 30 feet tall. And we're using the same digital environments that go into our shows. We're putting them on the wall for the guests to be actually immersed. So we're going to do some talks. We're going to show some technical demos of how Stagecraft works. Not too technical, for a general audience. We're going to put people in hyperspace, and then in between the talks that happen in this booth, we're letting people stand up on the stage and get immersed in Star Wars.
So being here yesterday and seeing the look of absolute joy and euphoria on people's faces, that's got to be rewarding for you, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime situation.
Yesterday I found someone in the crowd who was dressed up like Sully, but he wasn't just any Sully, he was a Jedi Sully, and he had a blue beard. He had an amazing cosplay. So we're like, we got to get you on the stage, because I want a video of you. I think you probably want a video of you. And he had an amazing lightsaber, an amazing pose. So to get to stick him in an Imperial hangar and draw his lightsaber, it's really fun to get to interact with the fans. And for many, they may have seen a behind-the-scenes video, or maybe they've never been exposed to this before. So to see the way the magic is brought to the screen is really fun.
I saw him, and I looked at the painstaking diamond shapes in his hair.
And he said, so I talked to him for a few minutes yesterday, and he said today's costume, which is not Jedi-related apparently, requires way more makeup than he was wearing yesterday, and he said he had to get up at 3 a.m. today, so I can't wait to find him today and see what costume he's in, because whatever it is even more elaborate, but that Sully Jedi was fantastic.
So obviously you've been a long time employee of Lucasfilm and Disney, and your work is just shines everywhere, but you're also a fan too. So what does it mean for you? That's a great story you just told. What does it mean for you to be at D23 just as a fan?
I mean, for me, I'm excited about going to the different booths between the times that I'm on the Lucasfilm booth. So like over at the Marvel exhibit, there's a Rocket experience where you get to see Rocket inside a time door and interact with him, and our teams help build that part of the show as well, and they've got an amazing exhibit. So just getting to walk through these spaces and interact with other fans, like we can all just be in our fandoms together, it's really fun.
So can you explain really quickly, as if that's possible, this is just like, you shoot on this, like what is it? And you were talking about different things with cameras that I didn't quite understand, because I'm more of a story guy, but this tells a story. Tell us about how this kind of works.
Yeah, so what we're looking at is an LED volume. So it's an LED wall like you might see on a billboard, but it's curved, so it gives the cast can be a little bit more immersed. And then we point a film camera at it. It's a digital version of a film camera. And the real trick is, like, you could put any sort of picture on the wall, and it would act kind of like a painted backing would act. But the magic trick here is we actually put 3D content on the wall, and then as we move the film camera, we know where that camera is, and we redraw the background from like a moving eye point perspective. Or you think of it like forced perspective works on like Main Street at Disneyland. This is like live forced perspective. So we adjust the perspective live for wherever the camera is. So what that magic trick gives us the ability to do is make the LED wall not have a fixed depth as you're shooting. It kind of has any depth you want. You can put any virtual environment you want back there. So it's better than blue screen because the actors are lit and can see the set around them. The DP can frame for the set that they see around them, and it kind of immerses everybody in that same environment.
So it adds a level of verisimilitude that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And you and I were talking before. I didn't realize how much of this went into the production of Percy Jackson. I have goosebumps again. That blows my mind, because that, I mean, I don't know, that just blew me away more than this for some reason.
Well, this is a really nice tool to have in the tool belt. So for the show Percy Jackson, they couldn't go to the Met and shoot inside the Met because you just can't close that place down for a week, right? So instead, we took some photographs and reference from there. We rebuilt a digital version of the Met, both exterior and interior. Then it's a collaboration between us and the production design department, and the art department built, for that, in that case, the real statues and did a fantastic partial construction, and then the rest was built on the LED walls. And that's really one of our main focuses here, is making sure that this tool, whether we use it a little or a lot on a show, we only use it when it's the right tool for the job. So even a filmmaker like Jon Favreau, who has really pushed us, he really pushed us to take this to the next level for Mandalorian and all of the subsequent shows we've done together. Even he only might use it for maybe half the scenes or half the setups. So it's really fun to watch people guess, was that done on the LED stage? Was that done on the LED stage? Sometimes we go outside and build big sets because that's the right thing to do. Sometimes we get to use the latest LED technology that the ILM team can run to give the filmmaker the tools they need.
Thank you so much for creating this aura, this atmosphere, and just giving us the stuff we love and making it even better. Thank you so much, Rob, for being on Coffee with Kenobi.
So much fun to get to connect with you, and I'm a big fan of following you online, and everybody who is connected to this world and really enjoys just existing in it. So yeah, very fun to get to chat with you today.
Seriously, what an awesome guy. Now I was so thrilled to talk with him, and hearing this stuff about Percy Jackson just really blew my mind. So now I'm on the show floor. I'm going to share some audio with you pretty soon of a really cool thing that Rob is going to do, talking about Stagecraft and ILM. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. More to come.
We will put you into Star Wars. So, So the first thing we're going to do here is give everybody a presentation about how this stuff works. So let me introduce who's coming up. It's going to be Sonia Contreras, who knows more about and has shot more with this technology than anybody on planet Earth. We worked on Star Wars together in Los Angeles. Then she went to Sydney and shot Thor there. Then we worked on more Marvel movies in London. And most recently, she was the supervisor on Percy Jackson and the Olympians in Vancouver.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
And coming up next is Rob Bredow. He is the Chief Creative Officer of Industrial Light and Magic, and Sonia and I's boss's boss. So if you could make us look good today, we would really appreciate it.
Hello.
Take it away, guys.
Thank you all for coming here. Thank you for spending part of your morning at D23 with us. As Ian said, we are very excited to be with you. This is the first public demonstration of ILM's Stagecraft LED technology ever. So this is really fun for us to get to share this look behind the scenes with you. And as Ian said, this is the real tech, the real camera, the real tracking technology. We're going to have a lot of fun diving into how all this works. So what is virtual production technology? Let me turn the clock back. This is the movie AI, which came out in 2001, directed by Steven Spielberg, and the legendary Dennis Muren was the visual effects supervisor on that show. And this was the first time, to my knowledge, that live computer graphics was composited so the camera operator could look through the camera and see a preview of the virtual environment instead of just looking at a blue screen. So you can see it was a long ways from the quality of what we can do today, but it gave a preview of what was going to happen on set, mixing digital and practical technology. That's continued to advance. And actually, Sonia, you were here on Rogue One.
Yeah, I was in London with Gareth filming this.
And Gareth Edwards had shot most of the movie with a camera on his shoulder. And he wanted the space shots to have a similar feel. He wanted to be able to scout, discover, and make those shots with a camera in his hand, rather than using traditional storyboards or previews. Even though he used those tools, he wanted to also have this technology available to him. And this is the actual recording that Gareth made when he was coming up with the idea of a shadow casting across the Death Star and kind of reviewing the Death Star for that kind of momentous shot in Rogue One. So this is how the shot appears in the film, but you can see how it was scouted and discovered by Gareth using a virtual production camera like the one you're going to be seeing today. So these are all building blocks that are leading to what we're going to actually show live in just a second. on Solo, I got to be the visual effects supervisor on that film. And for that film, we wanted to take the work that had been done leading up to this, including on row 1, where they used some LEDs, and see if we could have the view out the cockpit on that rear projection screen be realistic enough to where you could capture it with a camera. And you can actually see Director of Photography Bradford Young operating here as he is photographing hyperspace in a way we've never done it before. Not because we couldn't do it, but because we never would have thought of it. And you can see as he pans over to Han Solo's eyes, you actually see the reflection of hyperspace in Han Solo's eyes, which was a perfect visual storytelling beat to really sell the hope of that moment. You put this character in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon and he goes into hyperspace for the first time. You should see it in his face. So it was really exciting to get to see these technologies, things like virtual production, bringing real-time computer techniques on set, how it actually improves the entire creative process and inspires the crew to come up with new ideas. So now I'm rolling for you now some samples, and these are different shows. These are films, series, TV shows that we've worked on using the Stagecraft LED technology. So if you look carefully at each one of these shots, there is an LED wall somewhere in these shots that is participating in the illusion, creating the illusion. And by the end of this presentation, I'm sure you're all going to be experts and be able to figure out exactly what's real and what's digital. We'll do some tests on that a little bit later this morning. So let me let this reel play so you can see some of the work that we're going to dive into next.
Seeing footage of Stagecraft in action through The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Percy Jackson, some exteriors of the Met. There's some stuff from the upcoming Agatha TV show. A lot of great stuff.
Can you guys hear me okay? So D23, we're really excited because we actually get to show you a live load today, and we're gonna pull it up right now. So what you see here, some of you guys might recognize this as the city of Sully from the TV series Obi-Wan. There's usually more of an imperial presence here, so if somebody comes on stage with me, please don't get scared. Let me start by telling you a little bit about what we have here in this volume. So we have 18 million pixels being drawn here from wall end to wall end, and this is being rendered real time. What that means is that the images that you're seeing on this wall are refreshing several times a second to keep up with this camera that is running at 24 frames a second. And the way that we make this all work is, speaking of the camera, is that the trick, the illusion, actually has to look correct through the point of view of the camera. If you look at the monitors on either end of the LED wall, you'll see that that's what the camera is actually seeing. So what you see here, this red border behind me, is what we call a frustum. It's a magic window that, as it's refreshing, is actually drawing the correct perspective for the camera. So while you and I know that we're on an LED volume, to the camera's point of view, it actually looks like you're in the world. Now, again, how this is happening is that these pixels are refreshing several times a second. One of the things that we really love to do is to actually trick ourselves and the directors into believing that we're in that world. One of the ways that we do that is we have colorists, visual effects artists on set with us that are live grading the scene. Like I said, it's like a live video game here. Everything in this scene is controlled and is actually running real time. How do we know where this camera is? There's actually additional cameras at the top of this volume that are actually watching this camera as it's moving around the world. If I could get a volunteer, we can actually put one of you guys into Salim. All right, yes, you, man, with the...
We can have two volunteers.
Hi.
What's your name?
Diana, if you could stand over here next to our stormtrooper. Oh, and we've got another
We've got the second
volunteer
volunteer over here.
You guys will have an
Don't let
opportunity
it
to do this throughout the
rest.
next couple days as well, and when we finish our presentation. But you can see that as the camera moves around, this frustum is changing the image. So when we look through the TV monitors, Diana and our other friend here are actually in this world. The other cool thing about this environment is that we use this a lot for reflections. You can see that our stormtrooper is has a shiny surface, and the lighting from the walls actually reflects on him. So it's a much better technique than when we use green screens. We don't get this kind of interactivity. I think they're looking for stormtroopers over by that noodle shop. So
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
thank you guys so much.
Step back this way if you'd like. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, and it's a little bit confusing, right, to your brain to watch as this camera moves back and forth to see Dayu's perspective changing. Someone described it to me yesterday or mentioned that it was almost like a forced perspective, like a calculation like you see down Main Street when you're looking at Disneyland and you use a forced perspective to make the castle look even bigger. It's kind of like doing forced perspective, but doing it live. And that's what we're doing with the power, the team at the Brain Bar, and the power of that 3D scene makes this, what would normally be a 2D display, turn into a 3D portal that lets us transport you into different worlds. So here's what Dayu looked like in the series Obi-Wan. These are the actual shots from the show that you've already seen. And hopefully, if we've done our job right, it's really hard to tell where the art department construction and the physical set stops and the LED wall takes over in the background. Now this is something we rarely get to share. This is what we call a quad view, 4 different views of the same scene while we're shooting it in the show Obi-Wan. So you can see on the right an overview, and in this particular shot, the actual physical set was quite simple because that's all that was needed for that shot. But then we get to more complicated shots like this, where we've actually segmented the volume, segmented the space with a practical set wall halfway through. So depending on what side of the wall you're on or the other, we can dress the digital environment appropriately.
And we actually use these monitors back at the Brain Bar because we have live operators that are controlling this scene. So this allows us to see what's happening inside the volume as we're operating the scene.
Today, the Brain Bar is in that corner. If you want to meet some of them after the show, they're going to be back there. These are the real operators who are actually running the show. Some of them are going to be back on set Monday with Jon Favreau working on the new movie. So you want to take us through this shot? This is pretty fun.
Yeah, so the cool thing about the way that we can use this technology is that it allows us to track the camera, and in this particular shot, the camera is actually zigzagging around a space that's not much bigger than the one that we're in right now. And so we were able to cleverly turn this environment, the same one that you just saw, by just adding more set dressing to the inside the volume, into a really clever shot that makes the volume seem much bigger than it actually is.
It's pretty fun. Mounting a camera on a remote control car, dragging it around in a twisted serpentine set to make it feel much bigger than it is. I love the kind of tricks that the directors and the DP and the art department come up with to make the best use of this kind of technologies. So not only can we take you to Star Wars with a technology like this, but we can also take you anywhere in the world. Of course, we're all in Anaheim at D23, but in a moment we can take you to the Grand Canyon or any other place our teams have actually gone.
And with the click of a button, the Brain Bar can take us into, this is my favorite environment right here. I love to be in Hawaii, so they do that one for me a lot. But yeah, you can also see that the environment is actually live right now. So when you saw the world spinning, that's something a trick that we usually use as we're framing the camera. Sometimes we need to rearrange the world, but again, because everything is live, we can actually make those changes really quickly. Now this one's really cool because it's every director's dream to be able to stay in Magic Hour for as long as possible. And when that last one that you saw is great because usually Magic Hour lasts only an hour, but this way we can maintain the lighting in the environment for the duration of the day, so we can stay in Magic Hour for the whole day.
So now that you're all experts on Stagecraft LED technology, we thought it would be fun to give you a bit of a test. So here's a shot that was shot on Stagecraft, and I just want you to kind of imagine in your mind where you think the practical set stops and the LED wall takes over. You got a line imagined? Okay, now I'm going to color it in color code so you can see red is the practical set. That was what was built practically, and blue is the background, and hopefully they seamlessly stitch together because the work that Sonia and the team at the Brain Bar have done.
Did anybody get that one? Yeah?
Okay, yeah, you got that one.
All
okay,
right.
well,
They're getting harder.
let's level it up a little bit. This
So
is
this
what
one
Sonia
is-
thought, yeah.
This one's really cool, and I particularly really like this one because it's from Percy Jackson. In fact, I think the guys from Percy are here today, so you might be able to catch them later. But it was really a clever design of this one because we worked with the art department to see what we could fit inside the volume and then what we needed to do digitally, because rather than travel to New York City, we brought New York City to us. This is the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. You can see that those pillars were actually one of the only practical things in the scene.
Oh yeah, and Sonia was actually one of the artists on set who was color correcting those returns, the construction behind it, so it seamlessly stitches into those columns. And I don't know about you, but I never would have guessed that's where the scene was going to be in this shot.
Did you guys get that one? All right.
I don't have to
We're going to fool you on these ones.
In Mandalorian Season 1, we got to revisit this classic cantina. Now, of course, we could have built it all practically, but in this case, there was availability on the stage to cut down on the construction, to be able to only build this part of it practically, the bar and the things that the actors were going to be touching, but fill in the backing with a digital LED content. Okay, this is the last one. This is from a more recent season. This is season, I think, 2 of Mandalorian. Kind of fun to see the way the art department, the DPs, and the visual effects team are getting very creative with how to create these lines. So some of the walls that the actors are going to interact with are all built practically. There's even that semi-transparent curtain there, so it's really hard to detect. Really, it is the best tool for the job.
And one of the tricks that we use is to use a lot of set dressing that actually repeats into the volume, because in that way, it tricks your brain into believing that what you're seeing is actually real.
So now it's time to take you to one more Star Wars location, an Imperial hangar, and see if we can make another example and show some of the tricks you can do in a volume.
Yeah, and I did actually hear that there was just a ship that landed with more stormtroopers, so hopefully we're not caught here in this environment. So going back to what I was mentioning earlier, we use tricks like adding set dressing that repeats into the volume. Oh, he followed me. He knew we were here. But one of the other things that we like to do is add animation, add things that are moving in the environment, and that again is to help sell this illusion that what you're seeing is real. So again, if you look through the monitors, when we have things that are repeated, our brains can kind of start to forget that what we're actually seeing is a different environment. Now, the thing, the real thing here is that what we're actually trying to do is to help the filmmakers do what they do best and be creative in these worlds. And for us, the goal is that they can interact with this environment just like they would with any other location when they were filming. So the way that we do that is that we actually can control what's going on in the scene live, like I mentioned. And in this case, I can control this environment using an iPad. So we have things that are moving in the world, and I can actually turn them off and make them start moving again just with the click of a button on my iPad. And it was really helpful for Mandalorian because we needed to trigger these TIE fighters to move on a cue from the director. So we had visual effects artists on set, and when we were told to go, we would say start. And again, it's a little bit like a video game, but this allows us to give the filmmaker control over the scene. I think they're calling for stormtroopers over at Hangar 42. Sorry guys, I had to get rid of him for a second because I want to show you one other cool thing, and that's how once we start to animate the world, we can actually start to have a lot of fun with it. So you can see here, I have this lightsaber that I'm moving around the world, and as I move it, this is another thing that is being tracked by our mocap system, our cameras that are around the LED bulb. And as I move this lightsaber around, you can see that I'm actually interacting with the digital environment. How this is happening is this lightsaber is being tracked,
are able to put all these tools together, everybody just keeps coming up with different ideas. And it's really about the best tool for the job to tell that creative story. What you see here is a script from one of the recent Mandalorian, page from the script from one of the recent Mandalorian shows. This is actually the end of season 2, and we needed to build a facility, a moon labor camp. And it's like Alcatraz in space is the way it was described in the script. And it really is the combination of different techniques that are going to bring this concept to life. So we start with these amazing aspirational paintings for our art department. And I believe Doug Chang, who runs our Lucasfilm art department, is actually going to be here later today in one of the sessions. If you want to meet him and see even more artwork and use of Stagecraft, he's going to be talking about that on this stage a little bit later today. So the art is a fantastic touch point, the art and the script, creative, and then we start breaking it down into how we're actually going to build all these pieces. In this case, we 3D modeled some TIE Fighter parts, and then 3D printed them out and assembled them into a tabletop miniature. Now that tabletop miniature isn't big enough to be photographed inside, right? So then we scanned it, we took it back into the computer by using what's called photo modeling, taking a bunch of photographs on it to turn it back into a 3D model. And then we can assemble all of these pieces together and more into the way we were actually going to pull this off on the screen. So there you can see the tabletop miniature. Then you're going to see some other layers and the way it gets combined back into an LED wall like this so it can be photographed again in the final environment. The way this results in a shot that you see in the film, it has kind of the combination of every technique we've talked about. There's a CG ship added in post. In the background, those big walkers, they were actually stop motion animated by Phil Tippett at Tippett Animation Studios across the bay from us in San Francisco. In the foreground, we have special effects sparks, we have a computer graphics K2SO, and all the midground and background is actually photographed on an LED wall like this. So you can see, it's not just about using one tool. This is a fantastic tool that we have behind us today, but it's just one tool in the tool belt, and our job is to come alongside the filmmakers and provide them all the options to tell their creative story. Sometimes it can be a simpler trick like this. This is from Andor, and we were using the Stagecraft LED technology out the windows of this set. And one of the things you got for free when you're doing this is, like if you look at the city, the way it's reflected in the water, it does the correct upside down reflection, and that just comes along because we're using this technology and everyone can see it on set. Even something simple like that is a wonderful thing to achieve all the reflections and refractions of real life.
So, like I mentioned, all of these tools are just another tools in the toolkit for the filmmakers to be able to make their film. And one of the things that we do is we just use movie magic like that to be able to make tricks like or shots like this one possible. So the really cool thing about this shot is that what you think is moving is actually not moving. Everything else is moving around it. So the ship is actually in the volume, static. It's just standing there. And there's a platform with the people moving towards the ship, and the volume is actually, the image is changing and pushing the environment far away from us so that it gives us the illusion that the ship is actually moving towards us when in fact it's the only thing that's not moving.
You got that one? That's why we have smart people like Sonia and the Brain Bar team to figure these things out with our collaborative teams. But that ship actually weighs a lot, so not having to move it was really convenient for our team. So once you've mastered the basics of a tool like this, then you can start really elevating it. Like Sonia was just talking about that ship. This is a sequence out of Book of Boba Fett with the Mandalorian where he's going up an elevator, and you just saw him leave a floor, right? But if you know anything about the LED tools, you realize we didn't have to have an elevator on stage, right? We were using an LED wall behind them for them to raise multiple levels to go to this next level. But the really fun thing is the room we were just in where the camera, that room got redressed while we were in the elevator. The crew came out, swept that dressing away, brought in a whole other set of 50 extras so we could join the party that was taking place on this floor. And then this whole scene and this whole room has been added while we were in the elevator. And then this, if I let this scene continue, or if you watch it on Disney Plus, you'll see this continuous camera moves all the way around, and he goes and gets back in the elevator. So you get this amazing continuous shot that is actually done on one floor, but on the show it appears to be on multiple floors. So that was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. It was a real collaboration between all of the departments, camera and art department, and a bunch of help on set to quickly redress the set like a magic trick while the shot is taking place. So the last thing we have planned for you is one more environment, right?
This is a really fun one. So I know you guys all came here to see Star Wars. How many of you want to go into hyperspace? Yeah? Great. So what I need you to do is count down with me and we'll take us into hyperspace. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
So this is fun for your cameras. It's also really fun for selfies. You'll see you're actually illuminated by hyperspace, so maybe you want to hand a camera to somebody next to you and have them take a picture of you. Speaking of taking pictures in the volume and immersing yourself in Star Wars, you're welcome to hang out here. We're going to keep hyperspace on the screen for a few minutes. But we do have one thing to gift to you as you leave, as a thank you for attending our presentation. A very limited edition, only given out here at D23 pin, about industrial light and magic stagecraft technology for D23 only. So we'll be giving these pins out for you that you attend, just for those who attended this session on each side. As you exit, you'll be exiting out the sides. If you do want to take a video of yourself in one of our Star Wars environments up here on this stage, we'll be queuing for that on where the standby line was over on that side. So the way to queue for that is to exit and go back in. And we had really good experience getting through a lot of people in that line yesterday. So hopefully for those of you who want to have your moment on the stage in one of these environments, you'll get a chance to do that. We'll be doing that all day today, but starting right after this session. So thank you so much.
Thank you everybody for coming.
Well, guess what? Guess who I ran into? No surprise. Beci Mahnken of Mouse Fan Travel, one of my favorite people. Hello, friend.
Hi, it is so great to see you, and I love seeing you in this atmosphere where the energy is crazy here at D23.
It is crazy. Talk to me about what this one is like so far. It's only the morning for day two. So far compared to what it's been before.
It is a little different because, of course, they have split off some of the most major panels to the nighttime. So you get a little bit more energy on the floor than you do before, because before people were standing in queue lines all over the place. We didn't get the chance to see them in the booth. This one, we're getting a lot of people, a lot of visits, a lot of friends, a lot of hugs, a lot of handshakes, a lot of more hugs. It's a great place to be.
I saw someone with special needs come in yesterday.
Yeah.
And I have goosebumps. Seeing you all, seeing his excitement talking to Lou and to you, and just that's amazing.
Well, the people are amazing. That's what's so great about the Disney fan community in general, is that you've got people who love magic. They love to be enchanted. They love each other. They are very positive, happy people, usually, when you're outside the internet, obviously, because we know that can light itself on fire now and then. But here, people are here because they love the environment of Disney and what Disney brings to your family and to you over the years. So it's reflected, obviously. It's the happy, the magic, the smiles.
Right.
Yeah.
And you two are a big part of that. Speaking of, as everyone knows, MEI Mouse Fan Travel and Coffee with Kenobi are going on the Disney Wish June 16th and 20th. Next year, I got to have you on the show to help me talk about the ship, because you're the expert. I'm just the story guy. But the Disney Wish tells a story too. Tell me kind of what that's like.
Well, the Disney Wish, obviously, Disney Cruise Line brings a whole different type of experience to the sea. There are tons of cruise lines out there. There's one thing that fits everybody, but for the Disney fan, especially the Wish for the Star Wars fan, there's something for you. And it brings a whole new level to your fandom. To be able to walk into the bar that
Is
I
it
love
Hyperspace
so much.
Lounge?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. When you walk into Hyperspace Lounge and you get to sit and look at out the windows and you're jumping from planet to planet, it really is a cool place to hang out. And it's hard not to just sit there all day and they kind of have to tell you to leave because other people want to get in here, but it's one of those things that you have to experience if you're a fan.
Absolutely. And so what are some of the perks, he asks knowingly, of booking with Mouse Fan Travel to go on the Disney Wish with me? Because you get to hang out with me. Who wouldn't want to hang out with me on the Disney Wish, talk Star Wars, get your picture with Mickey Mouse? It's the best.
And that's the one thing about the Disney fan community is you can do things together as a group. And that's why it's so important to go with you, because you will have all the like-minded people all wanting to do the same things, all hanging out together and talking about the thing that you love the most, Star Wars, Disney, magic, cruising, and it'll be very addictive, which means you'll do it once and you'll go, oh my gosh, I will never cruise without a group again, because everywhere you turn, you're going to find somebody that is part of your clan.
Absolutely. And so go to coffeewithkenobi.com/DisneyWish for your no cost, no obligation code. Beci, I'm sure I'm going to talk to you tomorrow about the announcements and the news from the parks tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, and we'll see you soon.
All right, took a little bit of a break. We had some lunch, and I ran into my good friend from Forest Coast Conversations, Anthony King. Anthony, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you so much, Dan. Happy to be here, and it's a thrill to be at the D23 convention.
So we just did our preview show, which was great fun, so much fun. Has it lived up to the expectations for you?
I think it's actually surpassed the expectations. This is kind of like my second big convention overall, Star Wars Celebration 2022 being my first one, and now this one. And there are very much similarities, but this is also such a very different convention overall in terms of the content, but also the approach and feel of it. And it's just nice to have a different change of pace, and I think the atmosphere is unrivaled.
I agree with that. What are some of the things that have stood out to you? I know you've gotten to do a couple things that I haven't gotten to do yet, like the Marvel thing. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so they have a full Marvel walkthrough experience done by Marvel Studios, of course, under the Disney umbrella. And it is basically like you're a member of the TVA, and they're trying to give you a job within the TVA. So you kind of go through these different rooms and you see aspects of the Marvel Studios history that will be familiar to probably people, I assume yourself, as a fan of everything that they've put out. And just a lot of stuff to look forward to in the future, which you'll see in there.
Absolutely. So what did you think? I had the good pleasure to be on your show. What did you think of the Skeleton Crew trailer?
So I think it is really awesome. And my first reaction was, wow, that was different, but in a good way. I liked seeing the aspects of more familiar things in our everyday life in a Star Wars galaxy, right? As we were talking, like a backyard, a lawn, going to school. Very similar to the upbringing that I had as a child, and now that I get to see that in a Star Wars galaxy, plus these kids going off on this Amblin-like adventure, Goonies and E.T. in space. Sign me up. Those are the words that get me excited for this thing. And now that we actually got to see a trailer, it just blew me away, and I can't wait to see more Jude Law and Jedi Jude Law. Who knows that I'd be saying that word or that phrase? I mean, it's so cool.
Jedi Jude, that's a good alliterative thing. We're big fans of alliteration on Coffee with Kenobi. Finally, tonight, what are you hoping to hear about at the Disney Parks panel?
So I'm hoping to hear more Star Wars, of course. If there's anything for Galaxy's Edge, I will be so thrilled to hear more about that. And that Galactic Star Cruiser's just sitting there. If I have any hopes, it's that they can find some way to repurpose that so that people that, like myself, that didn't get a chance to go on it in its maiden voyage, its original voyage, can perhaps experience it in some way.
Well, Anthony, enjoy the rest of D23. Looking forward to your thoughts and insights, and certainly looking forward to hearing your reactions on your show.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.
Hello. I'm Kristen Baver. I'm the editor-in-chief of StarWars.com. Thank you. And the author of the forthcoming The Art of the Acolyte. And we are here today for a look back on The Acolyte. Now, without further ado, I am so excited to welcome to the stage, you may know him as Chimere, or perhaps The Stranger. Please give a warm welcome for our very special guest, Manny Jacinto. He's bringing the drama of The Stranger. Here we go.
What's up? I
feel like I should stand as well because everybody's standing, and I just I feel so guilty.
Listen, we can stand if you want to stand.
Shall we stand? Can we stand?
What? It's up to you.
Yes, let's stand.
Stand.
Let's stand.
Let us stand. All right.
Stand amongst the people, please.
All right, there we go. I love it. That's very equitable of you. All right, now Manny, you have had an amazing. Some of you might know him as Jason Mendoza from The Good Place.
Thank you so much.
Many of us, of course, know you as the stranger from The Acolyte. What has drawn you to these very different characters, and why do you relish really getting to show your range from the comedic chops, of course, of Jason to the badass lightsaber fight skills of the stranger?
Thanks, Kristen. I mean, with Jason, it was my first role in Hollywood, and I was broke, you know, I did not have a lot going for me, so you kind of just take it as it comes. But I was lucky enough to work with such a great group of people, and it resonated with so many people, with all of you guys, and I'm so lucky to have that start. And then from that, I had to be a bit more picky. I would do other more dramatic roles, and luckily I did that because Leslie saw the range, and through that, she chose me to be in The Acolyte.
And we are so glad you were in The Acolyte.
Thank you.
Now, as you said, Leslie saw you in Nine Perfect Strangers, and she was like, that's my guy, that's Kymere. That is the only person who can play the stranger. Can you tell us about getting that call and your reaction to learning that not only were you going to be the stranger, but you were also going to get to play around with the alias of Kymere?
It was a surreal experience. It was like this. So thank you for being here, because this is so surreal. This is another dream of mine. Honestly, sincerely, thank you. I was in Todos Santos, Mexico, a very magical place, shooting another project, and Leslie left me a voicemail on my phone, which I have, and I would play if we had time. I don't know if we would.
How long is this voicemail?
It's
I think we might have
voicemail. It's I'll sum it up. It just basically mentions that she would love to have me on board, and it would be a dream to work together, and she was right. It was dream fulfillment from beginning to end, and I'm so proud of all of it. But yeah, that moment, this moment, so many moments, I'll cherish and remember forever.
I love hearing this cast talk about working with Leslie Headland, because everyone has had such a great experience with her as a collaborator. Just so many joyful stories coming out of it. And so much fan love as well, of course, for The Acolyte.
Yeah.
Now, because we knew we were coming here today, we sourced some fan questions for you from the internet.
Okay, the internet.
So I'm going to start off with a couple of those now.
All right.
If you're in the audience and you happen to hear your handle, please give the biggest shout for me. I don't know that any of you are going to be here, but we're very excited for these. So at BreRen7 and at CrazyMelody16 asks, how did you distinguish the stranger from Kymere, and how did you approach Kymere's many masks, both literally and figuratively, as an actor?
I was given so many resources to succeed. Like, I had a vocal coach, I had a dialect coach, and a movement coach. So I was able to really explore different types of movement and different ways of speaking, playing around with my voice, and taking it out to the public and seeing if that works. Yeah, I with Kymere, it was very much like a Jack Sparrow type of vibe. He's chaotic and a little kooky.
Is he chaotic good? Chaotic neutral? Chaotic evil? What do you think?
Kymere or Jack Sparrow? Kymere is chaotic good.
Good, yeah.
At least he's trying to be. But in his inner monologue is chaotic bad. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we've seen it.
Yes. And then with Stranger, it was just, I gotta stay relaxed, I need to breathe, and I need to be grounded, and be still. Stillness was the huge part of it, because I needed to juxtapose the chaos with the Stranger, so.
Yeah. Was it difficult for you finding that stillness?
At times, yeah, especially, you know, like even right now, I'm really anxious and very excited. So it's like I'm a very, I like moving. I like that, hence why I'm standing right now. I just want to run around. But,
you can run around if you want, but we're still going to ask you questions while you do it, so.
Yeah, but I know that, you know, a lot of the work can come through the camera. And if I just hold still and say the words right and show up on time, it'll take care of itself. Yeah.
That's just good life advice, I think. Now, you mentioned before you moving through the characters, and I love the story you told us for StarWars.com about going to the grocery store as Chimere and just walking as Chimere and doing the voice and, you know, just kind of practicing those mannerisms. Do you have any rituals, like a playlist, a breathing exercise, a mantra that kind of helps get you into the character?
I mean, it's always different for different characters. Shout out to the Calm app, because meditation was huge, just trying to stay calm and, again, be still. But yeah, in terms of music, I listen to a good amount of the Star Wars theme songs, like just to get into that zone, and, you know, whether it be, you know, from composers like John Williams, and like, it's just, it honed me into the character a lot.
Oh, I love that. That's a beautiful answer. And actually, we have a follow-up from a fan. At Roberto B. Frost asked, what was on your playlist for The Stranger? So anything beyond John Williams you want to shout out?
For The Stranger, my playlist. For some reason, off of the dome, it would be the Foo Fighters for some reason.
Woo!
Yeah, that was playing in my head kind of the whole time. Especially when I was going to the gym, trying to, you know, do this stuff.
Yes, you do it well. Excellent. All right, we have another fan question. At Shy Jug asks, who was more fun to play, Chimere or The Stranger?
Ooh, that's a tough pick. It's both. It's such a cheap answer, but with Chimere,
we'll allow it.
Yeah, thank you. There's so many funny, goofy moments that I could use and juxtapose with Saul and Checky and Yord, and then this was a dream to be able to do that, like to put on a mask to play with a lightsaber, and maybe I would say The Stranger. You know, he kind of special place in my heart. Yeah.
And in all of our hearts, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We love The Stranger in these parts.
Thanks, guys.
All right, another fan question for you. At Josh Lightsaber Boy asks, did you take inspiration from other dark side characters, or is your take on this Stranger completely OG?
I mean, you can't help but look back to iconic characters like Darth Vader and Kylo Ren, and, you know, you have that mask as kind of a starting point, but we definitely wanted it to be of purpose. So the biggest purpose was to conceal his identity. So yeah, we kind of had that starting point with the mask, and but we also wanted to make him different. We wanted to make him move differently and fight differently. So we had the basis with those dark Sith characters, and then I think with movement we looked to Ray Park and Darth Maul a lot. Shout out to Darth Maul fans. Yeah, that was a big inspiration as well. So yeah, all of them, huge inspiration.
Yeah, awesome. And he has such a lineage to pull from. There's a lot of great Darksiders out there. Another fan question for you from at Lorenzo Lodico, asking, how did it feel the first time you put the mask on?
Oh man, look at that.
It's a beauty. I know you can't see out of it in this photo, but it's a beauty.
Yeah, it was tight. It was a tight fit. My massive head trying to fit into this helmet or this mask. But once we got it on, important note: before the mask was brought out to the crew, we had a whole security detail to make sure that it wasn't ever leaked. And fortunately, it wasn't ever leaked. But there was one security guy who would make sure that it was, locked down. And before we revealed it to the crew, Leslie had some beautiful, beautiful words, just thanking everybody for their hard work in regards to the costume and to this mask. And at that point, I felt the gravity of what we were doing, and I think it's because I am not going to be the only one wearing that mask. Like, that dude over there is wearing the mask, and I'm sure that guy right there is wearing the mask. Like, it's going to be not just me wearing this mask, and it's for all of us, and that's why it was so important to me when I first put it on, and I'm so happy that it turned out that way.
I love that. And also a preview of coming attractions. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but this is a little bit of the concept art for the mask. You can see some of the iterations that were explored. Some of them are really creepy and very different from where you ended up landing with it, but it's really interesting to see the evolution and the exploration. Oh, I love this one. This one gives me the ick, but I love it.
Yeah, that's the goal, the ick. Trying to give the ick.
Yes. Oh, and I love this one where you go more from like a feral, bony skull mask to Nick Tyrell's beautiful final iteration.
Yes. It's we definitely wanted something that felt organic, something that felt very DIY, nothing polished, nothing clean, something that, a dude in a garage could have made. That was the goal, and
or in a cave, whichever.
Or in a
garage, cave.
Yes, yeah, in a cave with a possible roommate, but it luckily it came out to that.
Yeah. I have to ask you, last time we talked, you were hoping Nick was going to make you your own. Has that happened yet?
Oh, we're in touch, yes.
All right,
I think, he's all the way in the UK, and there's some, copyright things that we have to deal with, but we'll talk.
All right.
Yeah.
If anyone deserves one, it's you.
Thanks, Kristen. Thank you.
All right. I want to make sure we touch upon the amazing stunt choreography, all of the hard work you did to get into shape. We have a quick video to showcase just some of the moves. I know you were in the gym. The stunt crew was so impressed by just your dedication to it. I know we're all very impressed with what it looks like on screen and just how amazing it is to see you in these fights with these Jedi. What were the most challenging aspects of learning that fight choreography for you?
Ooh, just my body was the most fit. I don't know if it'll ever be like that ever again, but it was just the training day in and day out. I just wanted to get it right. I saw the Hayden Christensen videos and saw how hard he trained, and it inspired me to train just as hard. And again, seeing Ray Park do his thing, I wanted to have my own stamp on the character and make sure I did it right. There'd be times where I would fall to the floor and just start laughing because I was in just so much pain everywhere, and that's how I dealt with getting through it. But I would be more than happy to do it over and over again. It was such a dream.
Flows like water. I love it. Did you ever have a moment where you thought, when you're lying on the ground laughing hysterically in pain, maybe I'm in over my head. Maybe I should have Lou come in and do this part.
Yes. Many times. But we got through it. My biggest thing was to not get injured. As long as I wasn't injured, as long as I can walk on my own 2 feet, that there was no way they could take me out of those scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I know how much you wanted to be in those scenes and doing your own stunts, as many of them as you could.
Yes, while I'm still young, that was the
While your knees will still withstand this.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yes. All right, we've got another fan question for you from @RM Collective asking, How did Filipino martial arts inspire you to play the role of the stranger?
Hey. Shout out to my Filipinos! Oh man, that's goosebumps. It just by magic. We talked about wanting a weapon that was unique and sneaky and just different, and this guy played a little dirty, and having like a dagger that comes out of the hilt was just like chef's kiss. So Leslie and I talked about it, the stunt team and I talked about it. Fortunately, the props people were able to do it, and lo and behold, it just was a parallel to my culture in the Philippines with Arnis or Filipino Cali. It's like it represents a martial arts that we're so proud to have, and to be able to represent it on a screen like this, it means the world.
Awesome. And speaking of martial arts, on more than one occasion, you got to fight opposite the incomparable Li Jiangjie.
Yes.
Jedi Master Soul himself. What can you tell us about working with JJ, both as a scene partner and as a stunt partner?
He sucks, man.
He's the worst. You heard it here first.
I mean, it sucks in a way because he's just so good at the choreography that we would get bruises to the point where he just wanted to keep going. Like he's a legend. He's a legend in Korea. He's a legend in the world right now, and he was doing a lot of his own stunts. And I just remember coming out of those fight scenes and just being battered and bruised, but just loving it because a Korean legend had an imprint on me. But getting to work with him, when I first learned that JJ was going to be doing the Acolyte, I was emotionally overwhelmed because to have two Asian males in Star Wars, that's pretty big.
Yeah, it's no small thing. Do you have any favorite memories from any of the scenes that you got to do with JJ?
I just remember the first time I heard his voice as Saul. Yeah, during the table read, and his very deep Jedi voice. I can't even go that deep. It's crazy, but it was perfect, and I was like, how he sounds like he can speak English. It sounds like he's been acting in English his whole life, but it's just that just goes to show his commitment and his work ethic, and it was an honor to share that screen with him.
Amazing. And I was also just so impressed, as I'm sure many of you were, with just the nuance he brought to the performance. The way he can tell a story with a look, or just there's so many tiny pieces of Master Soul. It's just very subtle, very quiet, but then you don't want to face off with him in a fight.
No, definitely not. Yes, he possesses, even in person, just a quiet power. You don't want to mess around when it comes time. But yeah, he's also a very lovely human being.
That's what I've heard. That was our experience too when we met him, of course, at the premiere.
Yes.
Just a lovely soul who's just, no pun intended, lovely soul who's so excited to be part of Star Wars as well. And he wasn't, of course, your only scene partner who you had several scenes with.
Yes.
You and Amandla Stenberg have so much chemistry on the show. It is off the charts as scene partners.
Oh man.
How was it working with Amandla?
There is nobody I could have done this with other than Amandla Stenberg. No, absolutely no way that I remember us getting through all 8 episodes and just giving each other a hug and giving each other our flowers, and it was, I don't know how we were able to get through this, but we did it. We did it with each other. Amandla is a professional. She's so smart. I sound so dumb whenever I am next to her because she's wise beyond her years. And fingers crossed we get to do it again.
A lot of crossed fingers in this audience right now from that.
Yes.
Yes.
Lightsabers crossed.
Lightsabers crossed, fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything. Blasters crossed, everything you got. And I think we may have had one of the first conversations that you were able to have when you could talk about The Stranger. It was just before premiere.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there was some convincing of like, no, you can talk about it now. It's like, this is safe space.
Yeah.
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 How did you navigate all of those months of promoting and talking about the show and only being able to scratch the surface of telling the story of what your work was really like in The Acolyte?
I am the worst liar. I suck at it. Like I don't know. I need to, again, send out an apology to all the reporters that I've lied to and all the questions that I've answered where I've just been lying straight to their faces. But it was tough to navigate. It was like another character that I had to play, a fourth or third character. But we got through it. I've issued my apologies, and hopefully there are no more secrets left to be told.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. And obviously there's a lot of love for The Stranger in this room today, and for you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Is there anything that you would like to say to the fans who have embraced this character, whether they're cosplaying as The Stranger and already rocking that cortosis? Let me see those helmets. Let me see those cortosis helmets. There we go.
Oh, that's sick.
Or
Oh my
the
gosh.
hard-carrying members of the Stranger's Army, which is just, I love the Yord Horde, the Jackie Jam, the Stranger's Army. There's a lot of good ones out there. But anything you want to say to those fans?
Just a big, massive thank you. I was the kid who would take out the cushions and just roll around and pretend that I was some sort of superhero or Power Ranger, and to be able to do something like this is an absolute dream, and the fact that I can inspire people to possibly do the same, that's all I can ask for. So yeah, just a huge, massive thank you to all of you, and if I can do it, dang, y'all can do it. Do whatever you want, power to you, but thank you for everything.
Well said.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is... yes.
Well, hello, everybody. Look, I'll be honest. It's actually the morning of day 3, but I didn't do a day 2 recap of all the amazing announcements for the theme parks. So this is what's happening right now. And then we'll go into day 3. So last night, talk about a blur. Are you kidding me? The presentation, as you probably noticed online, delayed about 40-45 minutes, maybe even longer. My brain's a little scrambled, blissfully so I'm not quite sure about the exact time period. But, let's talk about the announcements. There's so much great Marvel stuff. I mean, I still haven't been on the Web Slinger, so I really want to experience that. The Avengers ride, of course, is such a big deal. But let's talk about the Star Wars stuff and the Indiana Jones stuff. We're getting Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Who knew? But this is a malleable ride, so it's going to be the Mandalorian and Grogu on Smuggler's Run. And the concept art was beautiful. I was so insanely excited to hear it. I'm going to talk to Lou Mangello and Beci Mahnken later today about their reactions of it. And then the Indiana Jones attraction that we always knew was coming to Animal Kingdom to replace Dinosaur. It's the exact same track, same ride, vehicle situation, the same mechanics, but it's going to be a brand new story. So it's not going to be like Temple of the Forbidden Eye. And, I mean, seriously, that is so exciting. There's a Villains Land, there's Monsters, Inc. I mean, there's just so much. Cars Land and Frontierland, I'm not crazy about that idea, although it's not Cars Land, it's something else. But so much to get excited about. I'm babbling. It's been an incredibly long night/day, so I'm going to wrap this up so I can do a day 3 show. All right, thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Be sure to continue following Coffee with Kenobi all over social media and check out the website for the latest news and information, coffeewithkenobi.com. And don't forget to book your next Disney vacation at coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan travel. See you next time.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along.